Can the Labour leadership survive its mounting crisis? Will Keir Starmer's plan to reform the welfare system save Britain's economy and society, or will it collapse under fierce opposition within his own party and relentless pressure from business? In this video, we delve deep behind the scenes of today's heated political battle shaking the foundations of the UK, between workers' rights reforms, internal party divisions, and relentless attacks from political rivals. Stay with us on this journey as we reveal the full story, every detail, the angry reactions, and the outcomes threatening to reshape British politics as we know it. Did you know that over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel? We totally get it. Life gets busy and sometimes it's easy to forget. But here's the thing, subscribing is completely free, and it really helps us keep creating the content you enjoy. So why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? It only takes a second, but it makes a world of difference to us. Thank you for your support. Amid the political turmoil gripping Britain, everyone was surprised by a striking move from Angela Rayner, Labour's deputy leader responsible for the Labour portfolio, who was forced to delay some key reforms that would have granted new employees strong rights from day one of their employment. The original plan was to give workers the right to take unfair dismissal cases to court from their first day at work, alongside rights to work from home, as part of a sweeping package of reforms set to bring the biggest change to workers' rights in decades. Yet, after fierce pressure from business leaders and lobby groups, these rights have now been pushed back until 2027, despite originally being scheduled for autumn next year. This delay was no ordinary administrative adjustment, it was a clear admission from the Labour government that their policy was seriously flawed, as described by Andrew Griffith, the shadow business secretary, who noted the party's internal confusion about its approach to these reforms. Business leaders panicked at the prospect of a flood of tribunal claims tying companies, especially small businesses, in costly and complex legal battles. Tina McKenzie of the Federation of Small Businesses said frankly, putting plans to expand unfair dismissal rights from day one at the tail end of this process shows the government realises how complicated and difficult this is. Kate Nichols, chair of UK Hospitality, warned that these changes come at a time when businesses are already burdened by rising taxes, national insurance contributions, and increasing business costs. Insiders within government circles acknowledged that while they welcome the extra time, it doesn't change the fact that the policy is bad for the economy. Against this tense backdrop, the government laid out a clear timetable for implementing all 28 proposed workers' rights reforms for the first time, which include banning fire and rehire practices and ending exploitative zero-hours contracts, as well as protecting employees from non-sexual third-party harassment in workplaces such as pubs and universities, a move which critics have dubbed the pub banter ban. Certain reforms, such as protections from harassment, are set to take effect in October, while statutory sick pay improvements, stronger paternity leave, and whistleblower protections will roll out by April 2026. The package also grants unions greater powers by lowering thresholds needed to trigger strikes, enabling pay demands in workplaces where union membership is just 2%, down from the current 10%. The government also pledged to repeal certain laws as soon as the bill becomes law later this year to create a better relationship with unions that will prevent the need for strikes. While the government struggles to reform labour rights, the welfare system crisis has been equally complex and intense. In the biggest blow to his leadership since taking office, Keir Starmer was forced to abandon a central plank of his controversial benefit cuts after fierce opposition within his own party. Though the welfare reform bill passed its second reading with a majority of 75, 49 Labour MPs voted against it, exposing deep party divisions. Just 90 minutes before the vote, Disability Minister Sir Stephen Timms announced that plans to restrict eligibility for personal independence payments, PIP, a cornerstone of the reforms, would be delayed until after a full review, pushing back the originally planned November 2026 changes. This chaotic U-turn has caused major headaches for Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who had been counting on saving £4.8 billion annually from these cuts, which had already been watered down to £2.3 billion the previous week. The Institute for Fiscal Studies warned that the reform package could even cost taxpayers £100 million by 2029-30 if the proposed PIP eligibility tightening is scrapped. Parliament saw tense debates as numerous Labour MPs condemned the plans and many called for their postponement. Paula Barker, Labour MP for Liverpool Wavertree, described the process as incoherent and shambolic and the most unedifying spectacle she had ever seen. Ian Lavery slammed the bill as not fit for purpose. Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall voiced doubts about the sustainability of the reforms, stressing the need to protect the welfare state for future generations. She was met with immediate opposition from Labour backbencher Rachel Maskell, who proposed an amendment that would have killed the bill, describing society as dystopian and advocating for a wealth tax instead of benefit cuts. Although the amendment was defeated, it garnered support from 42 Labour MPs, highlighting the scale of internal party dissent. Emotional contributions, including from disabled MP Dr. Marie Tidball, who spoke tearfully about the shame of the proposed changes, underlined the deep unease among some MPs. The bill now moves to further parliamentary stages, with another potential rebellion looming at the final reading after summer recess. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch capitalised on Starmer's discomfort, accusing the government of utter capitulation and branding the legislation pointless. Facing mounting turmoil, Starmer narrowly cleared the first hurdle of the welfare reforms after opponents failed to halt the bill with a so-called reasoned amendment. The amendment was defeated by 328 votes to 149, allowing the bill to proceed to the next parliamentary stages scheduled for the 9th of July. This parliamentary showdown, which nearly derailed the reforms, signals deep fractures within the ruling party, torn between a central leadership pushing reform and a rebellious backbench opposed to key measures. As pressure mounts, Starmer must tread a fine line balancing the demands of reform, the needs of his party's grassroots, and the relentless external opposition. Together, these interwoven political crises present a severe test of Starmer's leadership and Labour's capacity to remain a formidable political force capable of steering Britain through economic and social challenges. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's recent "Island of Strangers" remark, intended to describe the public's growing sense of alienation, sparked a complex reaction across the UK. While many in the public echoed and embraced the sentiment, within Labour's corridors of power, it laid bare deeper frustrations. Privately, ministers questioned the entire strategy behind the painful welfare reform debates. One senior official lamented, "We are spending an extra £20 billion on welfare compared to the last government. We are not cutting it by £5 billion, but somehow everyone believes we are." There is clearly a problem with messaging. The internal dissent crescendoed into a dramatic rebellion by Labour MPs, with Sir Keir forced into last-minute concessions, notably postponing key disability reforms, to avoid a humiliating parliamentary defeat. The unfolding chaos has raised serious questions about Starmer's political acumen. One Labour MP summed it up bluntly: "He is just bad at politics." This stinging critique is startling for a Prime Minister who led Labour to a landslide 412-seat victory less than a year ago, but reflects the growing concern that Starmer is more at ease in international summits than navigating the gritty politics of Westminster. Starmer's admitted early focus on foreign affairs, attending the recent G7 and NATO summits and grappling with escalating tensions in the Middle East, may have cost him critical political capital at home. Compounding perceptions of his detachment is the revelation that since winning the election, Starmer has participated in only 6 parliamentary votes. The physical act of walking through the voting lobbies, a key moment for MPs to engage with their leader, has been notably rare for him. Labour MPs, including some ministers, voice several recurrent criticisms. The premature scrapping of winter fuel payments for over 10 million pensioners early in the government, a policy quickly reversed but whose damage lingers. As one senior figure notes, if you persuade MPs to do something difficult and then admit you are wrong, it is hard to persuade them to do it again and trust you. The absence of a compelling end goal or vision for MPs to rally behind. Polling expert Sir John Curtice has criticised Starmer's message as overly focused on attacking the previous Conservative government without clearly articulating how he intends to change the country. Communication failures, not only in selling policies to the public but also in securing buy-in from MPs themselves. There's a growing call for Starmer to involve his backbenchers more in policy development, implementation plans, and ownership. Starmer stormed into office last year promising to smash the gangs responsible for illegal immigration and human smuggling, declaring that arresting criminals was the only way to end the migrant crisis. Yet, so far in 2025, more than 20,000 migrants have crossed the Channel, a record figure that shows no signs of slowing, with authorities expecting red days, spikes of hundreds of arrivals daily, during the summer. In response, Starmer has proposed a new one-in, one-out deal with France, attempting to replicate previous agreements with Emmanuel Macron's government. Critics say this deal is ineffective and costly, with UK taxpayers reportedly paying French police millions to patrol beaches, a measure that has failed to stem the flow. Migrant crossings continue unabated, leading to widespread ridicule of Starmer's approach. Observers argue that if he were serious about solving the crisis, he would abandon the failed Franco-British deals and adopt the more aggressive Greek model of pushbacks, where migrant boats are intercepted and sent back to their point of departure. This method has dramatically reduced migrant crossings to the Greek island of Lesbos from peaks of 3,500 daily to 1,700 this year, despite opposition from charities and NGOs. Will Starmer show the political courage to implement similar measures on Britain's southern coast? Many doubt it, suggesting his priorities lie with North London dinner parties and appeasing the Labour left. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of migrants cross the border each year, accessing benefits and working illegally. The immigration system cries out for reform, but Starmer's leadership appears incapable of delivering it. The public's patience wears thin as Starmer's government grapples with growing taxes, economic challenges, and an uncontrolled border. Polling data consistently reflects Starmer's declining popularity, with many voters disillusioned by what they perceive as chaotic governance. Yet, in the midst of this disorder, one political beneficiary has emerged: the Reform Party. Voters disillusioned with traditional parties seek more than mere change, they demand clarity and conviction. Reform Party has positioned itself as the only major force consistently promising a free society, restoration of free speech, low taxes, control of migration, reliable public services, education free from political indoctrination, and the full benefits of Brexit. The party's bold messaging resonates where others falter. Its early policies, like prioritizing recruitment and retention of UK-trained doctors over foreign workers, reflect a grounded approach that won it parliamentary seats in the last general election. In stark contrast to Labour's muddled approach, Reform stands firm on stopping small boats crossing the Channel, a pledge that attracts voters weary of empty promises. Before the last election, Reform struggled with perceptions of electability. Now, after a by-election victory and strong local election performances, the party's influence grows. Despite Starmer's legal background, critics describe his political style as hesitant and indecisive, a rabbit caught in headlights. The continuing failures to manage immigration, welfare reforms, and party unity cast a long shadow over his leadership. In a stark warning to the UK government, Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK and MP for Clacton, issued a blunt message following a grim milestone: 20,000 migrants have now crossed the English Channel in small boats during 2025, a new record. Taking to social media platform X, formerly Twitter, Farage highlighted the scale of the issue, emphasizing the rapidly increasing numbers and the government's perceived failure to deter these crossings. This morning marked 20,000 people who have crossed the English Channel in small boats this year, he wrote. It is a record and will only increase if we continue to give them everything when they arrive. The figures underline an escalating migrant crisis at Britain's doorstep. On one recent day alone, 879 migrants crossed in 13 boats, pushing the total to nearly 20,000, with many more arriving as the summer season peaks. The warning from Farage aligns with mounting criticism from the Conservative opposition. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp condemned Labour's approach as ineffective, accusing them of dismantling tried and tested deterrents and replacing them with fantasy. This is the worst year on record, and it's become a free-for-all, Philp said. He called for a robust removals deterrent, proposing that every illegal immigrant be removed to a safe location outside Europe, a policy he believes would swiftly halt the crossings. Downing Street acknowledged the severity of the problem, with a Number 10 spokesperson describing the rising numbers as clearly unacceptable. The government attributed the surge to the entrenchment of industrial-scale smuggling gangs across Europe, highlighting the challenge in dismantling these well-funded criminal networks. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has vowed to clamp down on people smuggling gangs, pledging to smash the gangs as part of a broader effort to regain control of Britain's borders. However, critics point out the disconnect between rhetoric and results as crossings continue unabated. Amidst the turmoil on immigration, another political flashpoint emerged: potential changes to the annual cash ISA, individual savings account, allowance, reported to be under consideration by Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Farage swiftly criticized the proposed cuts on X, accusing Reeves of killing ambition and driving people out of the country. The Chancellor is expected to announce her plans during her Mansion House speech on the 15th of July. While she has ruled out reducing the overall ISA investment limit, the cash ISA allowance, which allows savers to shield a portion of their savings from tax, is reportedly set for a cut below the current £20,000 ceiling. Financial insiders suggest the government has considered slashing this limit to as low as £5,000, according to reports by the Financial Times. Reeves believes such a move would encourage savers to shift money from cash into stocks and shares ISAs, thereby boosting the stock market. Investment banks and asset managers are reportedly in favor of this shift. However, building societies, which rely heavily on cash savings to fund loans, have expressed concern. Cash ISAs currently account for 39% of all savings balances held by building societies, underscoring the potential impact of any change. Money-saving expert founder Martin Lewis described the proposed cut as people off economics, arguing that it is unlikely to meaningfully encourage more investment and risks alienating savers. Lewis advised savers not to panic, noting that any change would likely affect future ISA limits rather than existing accounts. He called for personalized financial guidance over punitive measures, saying, "Let's use the carrot, not the stick." Sarah Coles, head of personal finance at Hargreaves Lansdown, emphasized that any ISA reforms should avoid creating obstacles for savers transferring funds between cash and stocks and shares ISAs. She suggested that maintaining consistent allowances across ISA types, alongside targeted support, would better help savers balance their portfolios according to changing financial needs. A Treasury official confirmed to the Financial Times that the government is exploring ways to get the balance right between cash and equities, signaling that any reforms aim to encourage investment without unduly penalizing savers. As Britain faces converging crises, from record migrant crossings to contentious welfare reforms and an uncertain economic landscape, political leaders grapple with delivering solutions that satisfy both public demands and party dynamics. Nigel Farage's warnings and vocal criticism of government policies reflect a wider appetite for decisive action and clarity of vision among many voters disenchanted with the status quo. Meanwhile, proposed financial reforms aimed at steering the nation's savings habits expose the complex balancing act facing policymakers, fostering investment while protecting everyday savers. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's administration stands at a crossroads, challenged to restore confidence both in its handling of immigration and its economic stewardship. The public, watching closely, demands leadership that is both effective and empathetic, capable of tackling Britain's toughest issues with transparency and resolve.